So, welcome everyone. I cannot believe how many people we have today. This is truly tremendous. And it looks like this is going to be one of our largest organizing summit to date. So, thank you so much for being here. And welcome to the RiseUpForAbortionRights.org organizing summit meeting. While we're kind of waiting still for a few people to trickle in and get settled, I just wanted to extend the warmest welcome to all of you who have maybe been here for a while, maybe been participating in protests, have been to other organizing meetings, and especially to all of the new folks that are here. And are with us here for the first time, and you maybe have never done something like this before. This movement really is a conglomeration of people like, our initiators, Merle Hoffman, Sarah Taylor, Lori Sokol, who have been fighting for decades and have been at this for a while. And, most importantly, too, people like yourself and like me back in February who have maybe no experience being an organizer or leading a movement, because this is really what it's going to take is more new people showing up, stepping out, getting out into the streets and taking responsibility to stop the Supreme Court from taking away the right to abortion. And we have just seen an impressive amount of new folks stepping up over the past few weeks and who have signed up to be here today. And I just want to be the first of many to tell you that I am tremendously proud of all of you for being here and accepting the call to action to overturn Roe. Hell no, we are not going to let the Supreme Court take away the right to abortion, and we can stop it through mass, sustained, and bold action in any way that we can. So, we are exactly where future generations need us to be today. We can prevent millions of people from being reduced down to incubators and prevent countless lives from being cut short, from botched back alley abortions, or from lack of access to abortion care in times when people are experiencing life-threatening pregnancies, as well as really drawing a firm line that we will not accept. We refuse to accept a rapid rolling back of our freedoms, and we will fight to prevent that from happening. And in order to do that, we really need to move away from simply just being tired and angry that these things are happening and dedicate ourselves to taking action as well as to calling others to join in the fight as well. So we can make history and create something tremendous together. And you will leave here today with the knowledge and ideas on how to do that. And we will be taking what we learned today and what we discussed today to inform and create some tools that will be on our website and will be distributed, that will make it easier to take this action and share it with others and make it as accessible and easy to do as possible for you. So we will be hearing today from some of our national initiators and leaders, Sarah Taylor and Merle Hoffman. And then we'll also be doing breakout groups with different organizers from across the country to discuss some different ideas and plans of action. I'm sure moving out of this and during the day, you will have plenty of questions for us that we probably won't be able to answer all today, and that's okay. We have a team of organizers across the country that are dedicated to making sure your questions get answered. So you can send us an email, reach out to us on social, keep in contact if you do have some questions that aren't answered today, and we'll be sure to get that tackled and help you out in any way we can. We are here to support you and support each other in this fight. So I just wanted to give you a little brief background on Rise Up for Abortion Rights before we dive in. So Rise Up for Abortion Rights was initiated in January of 2022 and was one of the first groups to really acknowledge that we have an opportunity to prevent the Supreme Court from overturning Roe versus Wade. And the people have the power to do this through mass sustained nonviolent protest. And this is very different than a lot of the messaging that has been at the time and is continuously perpetuated through members of the pro-choice movement and leaders in the pro-choice movement and the media and so on, which is essentially capitulating and accepting a loss of ground, a loss of freedoms, and just saying we need to hold politicians accountable in November. We just need to prepare for a post-Roe world. Donate to abortion funds. We've got the pill now. We'll figure it out. But that really is a grave misuse of the time that we have, and it does allow for millions to lose their rights to their own bodies, and will leave them with their bodies being hijacked, their futures being foreclosed, and lives being lost as a result of lack of access to abortion. And so we need to do everything in our power to prevent that. So since January, Rise Up for Abortion Rights has been organizing mass nonviolent protests throughout the United States, which have been building every time and will continue to grow so that we can win this fight and protect each other. And so I'd like to turn it over now to our next speakers. We are going to have Sansara Taylor. First we're going to have Merle Hoffman discuss some of her views on what we're fighting for and what we're doing here today. So Merle.
Does somebody need to enable Merle to be able to unmute herself? Merle?
Hello, do you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I said the first thing that I'm fighting for is you, Skylar, and your generation, and the generations of women and girls that will come after you. And I do want to say I'm proud and I feel privileged to be at this place, at this time, in this moment, and to be able to meet this challenge, because this is really a time that we have to practice courage, because it has to be practiced. And so many people have said to me over the past decades, where are your troops and why are there not more people out there, which we always are asking for. And one of the reasons is because they're afraid. And the closer people get in their own understanding of truth, the more fear there is. But that is the natural reaction, and we have to be mindful of that and keep working to be able to have people open their minds to accept the truth and deal with the reality of what we're really facing. I came to that place personally 51 years ago, when I sat with the first patient who came to Choices. And that was in 1971. And this was 2 years before abortion was legalized nationally. So 1970 to 73, abortion was decriminalized, legalized in New York and 4 or 5 other states in the country. And this woman came from New Jersey, because at that time, abortion was illegal in New Jersey. And she was white, Catholic, with 3 children, and married, and she just could not afford another baby, another child, another mouth to feed. And it was these enormous economic pressures, which are really the major reason why most women do choose to have abortions, that brought her to see Choices, to come to Choices. And I was only 25 years old, and I stayed with her, I spoke to her, and I held her hand, and I experienced the profound power of that decision. And the decision to become a mother, when to become a mother, is really a mother's act. And I firmly believe that the struggle over that power that women have is a power struggle, and that's what fuels so much of this battle, And I came to that point of truth, and therefore courage politically, in 1977 when Henry Hyde cut off Medicaid funding for poor women. I remember where I was, and I remember very succinctly that he said, well, we can't save all the babies, we can at least save the babies of the poor. Now, these were the women and young girls that I was working with every day. And what this did was just pull out any financial governmental support that these women had. So even though abortion was legal for them, it became impossible. So that catalyzed my first political action, which I did alone. And very often, many of the actions I've done alone. And I developed a sheet of paper which spelled all of these issues that this brought up out. And I went to Queens College, where I was still going at the time. And I knocked on the doors of the teachers in the classroom, and I asked them, may I address the class? And they said, okay. And I basically came in and said, this is a major problem. This is an emergency. Abortion is legal, but now they have ripped it away from the poor, the uninsured, minority, Black women. We have to do something. And the reaction was, well, I can always take care of myself, or, this doesn't impact or affect me. And at that time, I thought to myself, this bifurcation of race, this bifurcation of class has to be addressed. This is when we should march. But that never happened. So I want all of you to understand that the Hyde Amendment is still in effect. And every single administration, every single one has signed it, including Obama and including Clinton, and including all the progressives who come out with all their major propagandistic campaign slogans that we're hearing now, okay? So I have done a lot of radical actions in the past, and many times I have been alone and I have had people join me. When this happened, I looked around, and as Schuyler said, the main message was, well, we have to accommodate. We have to find ways, to give women abortions, to help them. We have to raise funds. We, got to help them come from slave states to free states. And I use those terms because I'm also looking to call for a iteration of this right to reproductive freedom under the 13th Amendment, which is the amendment against slavery, because the saying of Liza, enforced slavery, you are putting more than half of the population into a system of slavery if they can't make that decision. So I thank all of you for being here. And this is a struggle. This is a hard thing to do. But I feel a degree of hope and courage and joy, in a sense, of seeing that this call is being answered. And people are saying, yes, I'm not just going to go with the herd. I'm not just going to, run with the regular propaganda and comments, because these are women's and girls' lives. And we have taken on that responsibility. We have taken on that power. So let's use it well, and let's understand that we're all in it for the very long, difficult struggle and time. And I want to end with a couple of things that people who are older than me and wiser said. Florence Kennedy, who was a radical Black attorney. I think she was one of the first Black women who had graduated from Harvard Law. And she always said, girl, you have to love the struggle. And Tamu who wrote The Myth of Sisyphus. And Sisyphus, was given a punishment by the gods where he had to roll this very enormous stone up to the top of the mountain. And every time he got to the top, he came back down. And he had to roll it up again. So as Camus wrote, we must imagine Sisyphus happy. Am I saying, yes, you have to love the struggle and we don't want to win and we don't have a goal? No, I'm not saying that. We do have a goal and we're working towards that goal. But what I'm saying is that in order to reach it, we have to become what we're talking about. So once again, and to have joy. So once again, thank you for all you for coming, and I hope to see you on the streets.
All right, so I want to, because it was asked in the chat, and I don't think it was done in the intro to Merle. That was Merle Hoffman. She introduced herself through her background, but I want you to know she is the CEO and the founder of Choices Women's Medical Center, which is one of the very first abortion clinics in the entire country. It was opened before Roe v. Wade. And she is also a longtime fighter, author, writer for reproductive freedom and abortion rights over many years. And she's one of the initiators, together with myself, of Rise Up for Abortion Rights. And there are other initiators too who are not presenting today. I'm going to present next. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sansara Taylor. And I am a revolutionary. I'm a follower of the revolutionary leader, Bob Avakian, who's the architect of the new communism. I am the co-host of the Revolution Nothing Less show on YouTube. And for many years, from that perspective, I have recognized and been fighting that abortion is central to women's lives, and whether women will be treated as full human beings or as incubators, as property of men, as subjugated, lesser than oppressed status. And so this has been a fight I've been in, learned a great deal since the 90s when the first abortion doctor was assassinated. And we in Rise Up for Abortion Rights unite people from many diverse political and ideological perspectives. That's a great strength of ours, from the initiators to all of you, and that we are united around a central demand, which is what I want to zero in on, which is stop the Supreme Court. Stop the Supreme Court from taking away women's fundamental right to abortion. Forced motherhood is female enslavement, and we need abortion on demand and without apology. And this is profoundly important. Right now, we need to understand that the Supreme Court is on track, as all of you I'm sure know, to decimate the right to abortion, to take it away, to reverse a constitutional right for the first time in US history, a major assault on the masses of people, on the masses of women and girls, and on justice overall. This is an atrocity, and it must be stopped. It must be stopped because, exactly as I said, forcing women to have children against their will is a form of enslavement. It shatters lives, it forecloses dreams, it forces women and girls to drop out of school, to lose their jobs. It traps women in abuse. It drives them into poverty. And it tells every woman, every part of society, no matter how much privilege she has, and even worse, if she's trapped at the bottom of society and facing multiple barriers, it tells every woman that they are less than fully human in the eyes of the state. And this is something that must not be allowed to happen. And if this happens, it is not the end, it's the beginning. If they are allowed to overturn Roe v. Wade, they're coming for contraception next. They're not leaving the blue states safe. They are coming for LGBTQ rights. They are coming for the lives of our trans youth. They are coming for interracial marriage. They are accelerating the whole fascist and Christian fascist juggernaut, which has been building and mounting for decades, which is now at the brink of success at the Supreme Court. So we need to draw the line. This must be stopped. And what I want to focus my remarks on, and what we have a mission to accomplish together here today, is that this can be stopped. The attack, yes, the Supreme Court is on track to overturn Roe v. Wade. Yes, that hideous manifesto of misogyny and dark ages thought that was called a draft decision from Samuel Alito is atrocious and makes clear they have a majority if we do not change the political calculus in this country. But it is not a done deal. It is not yet the law. And I want to talk about how we can stop this and what we need to aim, how we need to fight with all we've got to stop it, even in the short time we have. Now, people often say, and I know it's in the chat, and if you can't help yourself and you're going to keep chatting and debating this while I speak, I can't stop you, but I would request that we put a lot of thought into this. I would request that you pause and listen. And then we engage in a discussion and a debate on the basis of having had a common presentation. I'm going to address something very serious that very few people see the basis for in society, but has implications of the lives of millions and millions of women and girls, and justice overall hangs in the balance, which is that we have to fight to stop this decision from becoming law, and how we can. And I want to say this: if we, in our millions, in mass, sustained, determined, unrelenting, not just for a day, unrelenting, nonviolent resistance and protest and acts of defiance, if we make clear in word and deed that we will bring the gears of society to a grinding halt before we accept the overturning of Roe v. Wade, we have a shot at stopping this from becoming law. And I don't say this because I'm naive. I don't think we're going to get inside the hearts and the minds of Clarence Thomas or Samuel Alito or Amy Coney Barrett and win them over. I am not naive that they are very powerful, they are very theocratic, they are very dark ages, and yes, they have built their movement up over decades. They have a cadre of millions of foot soldiers who harass and terrorize women outside every clinic, and they've done it for decades. They have taken over state legislatures. They have captured the federal judiciary from the highest level very significantly on down. I am well aware, and this movement is well aware of the power they have, which is why we have to be determined not to let them get any more power. If they have the force of the state ripping away the legal right to abortion, do not kid yourself that this will be something we can do a workaround and just help all the women who need to and other pregnant people who need to travel. You can do that for a while, and that is righteous, but it will be on shrinking ground, and the fascists will be on the march, which they have been. We have to draw a line and fight to stop it now. It is far harder to win a right back after it has been lost than to save it and defend it while you have it. So I want you to imagine, and these are reality-based imaginations, I want you to imagine the tens of thousands of predominantly furious, heartsick women who came flooding into the streets, but also men, yes, people of different genders, people who came out into the streets after that draft decision was leaked, with tears in their eyes and rage in their heart and terror and fear in their bellies, who came out and said, no. I want you to imagine all those people coming back into the streets, not for one day, and then going home and saying, oh, we vented our frustration, coming back and saying no, again and again. I want you to imagine all the 10,000 or so who marched with Rise Up for Abortion Rights and inserted into those protests, and the ones that we led, not just outrage, but the demand, stop the Supreme Court from overturning Roe. Overturn Roe, hell no. All of them and all the thousands, beautiful, young, righteous, thousands of young students, college students, high school students, middle school students who answered the call we put out to walk out of school and shut down their campuses and grind up and gum up business as usual. Hundreds and hundreds of students walking out from schools all across this country. Yes, in New York and California, righteously, but also in Arkansas, Connecticut, Colorado, Texas, all over, big towns, small towns, red, blue, young people who are saying, we will not let you steal our futures. Imagine them coming back and not just sustaining in small numbers of determined youth, but winning the entire schools to walk out, entire campuses, and then also going to other sections of society, these young people, not just coming back themselves, but marching to the hospitals at shift change and challenging the nurses and the doctors and the healthcare workers to join us in wearing green and standing up and gumming up the workings of society. Imagine marching to Broadway when the plays are audiences are lining up or the plays are letting out and challenging and struggling with the actors and the audiences to join us. Imagine this spreading. Imagine all the women, the 1 in 4 women who's gotten an abortion in her life being aroused to join us in the streets. Imagine if we were going and challenging our beloved artists and public intellectuals and the conscience of society, the voices who carry the conscience of society to stand with us, and they were. And not just voicing their outrage, as important and as righteous as that is, but joining in saying this must stop. Wearing the green bandana together with us, the symbol, the very powerful symbol that came out of Argentina, where women there went in the streets and did what everybody said was impossible. They went in the streets with fury. They didn't have anybody backing them up, and they kept coming back. And they refused to stop. And they struggled with people to wake up. And they decriminalized abortion in a very profoundly Catholic, patriarchal, highly repressive society. They tore down those anti-abortion laws, and they inspired the women of Colombia, who then took up the green bandana, went in the streets, and they decriminalized abortion there just this February. This movement, this green wave, this symbol, imagine this being taken up on the stages from the biggest musicians to the smallest clubs, from all different sections of society, showing where they stand. Musicians, actors, performers of all kinds. I want you to imagine this green spreading, being a symbol that not just tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, but literally millions of people in this country who hate what's coming, who fear what's coming, who are afraid to look at it because they don't see a way to fight it. Imagine they start seeing this green everywhere and start wearing it themselves. And you start to see, my God, we are legions. There are so many of us. It starts to embolden more action, civil disobedience, nonviolence, athletes speaking out and wearing the green on the court or on the field. Imagine this taking hold, and again and again and again and relentlessly. So unignorable, so visible, so powerful and righteous that it can be seen all over the world. We have the power to create a political situation, not where we win over the fascists on the court, but where they have to recognize, and even the fascists worry about things like this. They have to recognize that if they go forward with taking this right away in the face of that mass opposition, they will lose any shred of legitimacy for their institutions and their system in the eyes of millions and millions around this country and billions around the world. That is what could force them to recalculate, and we have that power. We have that power. That is the power of the people. They are powerful, but they are not all powerful, and they are not gods. They might wish they are, they might claim they're on a mission from God, but they are not gods. We have power too, but we are sleeping on our power. Our side is sleeping on its power. And we here today have to dare in a way that most people right now are not ready to and willing to, but we are going to struggle with them too. We need to dare, we need to think big, and we need to dare to bring alive their worst nightmare, which is an inflamed, righteous, uprising, furious, relentless, truth-telling, nonviolent, massive, sustained struggle that says no way. And another key ingredient I want us to take stock in that we have on our side, that they can never have. What we have on our side, and we have seen it, and it has been so beautiful and so inspiring. It's still microcosm, but we need to scale it up. We have seen the power of the fury, the righteous fury of women and girls rising up at this violence inflicted on them, threatened against them by the state, and rising up and uncorking what has been a suppressed burning rage, simmering inside the hearts and the minds of generations of women and girls over centuries, over millennia, at the way they've been treated as less than, treated as punching bags, treated as baby-making machines, treated as sex objects, treated as things to be pimped out, beaten down, disrespected, discounted. And this fury that has come out, and we've seen it, and the young people have talked about it, how righteous, how enlivening it is to be out there and have a place to put their fury, and it's infectious. And many of you watching know what I'm talking about, because that's why you are here. because you have felt this fury and you have found a place for it. And this is a force that can wake up millions. There is a fury seething in the hearts of millions and millions of women and girls that we need to call forward with our daring, with our clarity, and we need to call that forward from everybody who loves justice. And that's a strength on our side that they fear, and we must not underestimate. So I am here to say, and we are here to work on together, we are on a mission to stop them from going forward. And if we do this, if we bring alive this vision that I'm talking about, which is very realizable, because most people don't want to see this happen. We've all read the polls. We all know this. Most people don't want women forced to have children against their will. Most people know that's barbaric, a 12-year-old raped by her uncle and forced by the state to have a child against their will. Most people know that's wrong. We can wake them up and move them to act. That is what we have the power to do. Okay, and that's our mission. And if we do that, we could back them up. And if we fail to back them up, but we have brought forward this kind of struggle, we will be in a stronger position to fight forward if they go ahead and take away Roe v. Wade and take away abortion rights. Because if you have an aroused and inflamed, righteously standing up people, and they are punched in the nose by an illegitimate fascist assault on the lives of and bodies and very humanity of half of society, then that is seen as illegitimate, and it can inspire greater struggle and resistance. But if you lie down and let them take this without a fight, it will lead to greater demoralization and defeat. And we are going to have a fight on our hands either way. So the sooner we get started, the sooner we raise our sights, and the more daring we are, the stronger position we're going to be in. A chance to defeat this, and the strongest position if we don't. So, and that includes fighting to reverse it, and it includes having a bigger sea of people who will help the women and others who need abortions to access them. But the key thing right now is this political battle, this fight, and not to give up without a fight, not to say it's over before it's over. Don't let them count us out. You know, I will acknowledge, and then I'm going to get to our program, but it's like, you got to bear with me. I'm not a sports person, but it's like towards the end of the fourth quarter, this decision from the Supreme Court is coming soon. It could come on Tuesday. It could come next Monday. We don't know when it's coming, so we don't have a lot of time. But we are in the final quarter. We are down. The other team is ahead. But I want to stress, and I said this to the youth at the walkouts on Thursday, and I believe it with 100% of my fiber of my being. Every one of the greatest movies, the songs, the legends, the stories that people tell are about the underdogs who are counted out, who rose against all odds with right on their side. And there is a lot on track to not have that be the case right now, but we have the basis to fight this and win it. But the first thing we have to do is dare. And that's what we are doing here. So on that basis, I want to stress there are two shifts, two changes in our attitude, ourselves, each of us tuned in today, each of you watching, and that we have to undergo, and we have to lead legions to undergo. And the first is the shift from, I hate what this court is doing. It's barbaric what this court is doing. Oh my God, I wish somebody would do something about this. I can't believe this is happening. The shift from hating it or fearing it to saying, we are going to fight to stop it. We're the ones. The shift from being a bystander in history, a bystander in a crime against humanity that's about to go down, and being active participants willing to be the force that gets in the way and deflects the future onto a different path. We have to get out of the passive seat. I hate this to we will dare. We got to get from how dare they to we will dare. That's number one. And number two, we have to go further than that even. From we are willing to fight this, we are willing to fight to stop it, to we are going to call on and struggle with others. And we are going to call on others to call on others, to use their platforms, their influence, their finances, their resources, their skills, their networks, their notoriety, where applicable, to call others into the fight to stop this. And that is the struggle we have to undergo. We are the ones who are going to wage that struggle. RiseUpForAbortionRights.org invites everybody in. But this is the mission that was not being taken up, which is why we started. There was a lot of people preparing for post-Roe. There was a lot of people who didn't know this assault was going on. We said we are going to stand in the breach and lead a fight to stop this. And there are the forces who could be won to it, but we have to dare to rally them. So that's our mission. That's our orientation. With that in mind, we have a big vision, and all of you are part of wrangling with the vision. And when we get into the breakouts in just a few minutes, you're going to be part of developing this vision. But I want to give a few elements. A bunch of us, the leaders in this movement, have spent the last 24 hours nonstop strategizing and coming up with this, and the last several weeks kind of trying to develop our next steps. And so here's what we are going to organize our breakouts around, and you'll hear more about them right before we break out. But one, we want to build on these walkouts that have happened every Thursday. They are so inspiring. Some of you may know about them, some of you may not. They haven't broken into all the media, but they've been very powerful, and they have gotten a lot of media. Students have been walking out across this country, mainly high school, but also other ages, every Thursday, and others have joined them. And there's been marches. This last Thursday, the march took over the Brooklyn Bridge here in New York. It was glorious. It was righteous, no business as usual. But there's also been a challenge. We're getting towards the end of the year. It's coming into finals. It's hard to keep walking out every week. There's smaller numbers. So we want to shift this from walking out and converging to every school really fighting for school-wide green out and walkout for 19 minutes and 73 seconds, where you get everybody, not all day, but 19 minutes, 73 seconds in front of the school at the flagpole. Maybe you raise a green flag or something else, body paint, green up. You walk out. 1973 is the year of Roe v. Wade. And what we want to say is, for 19 minutes and 73 seconds, stop everything to save Roe. And it's a glimmer of stopping all of society to save Roe, but it's building up our muscles and setting an example. So we want to do this so that it spreads and takes hold and draw, as opposed to winnowing each week. We want it to spread school-wide, institution-wide for a shorter period of time. And we also want to have this happen among the professions and other sections of society. Hospital workers, 19 minutes, 73 seconds. Other people who drive buses, maybe they stop for 19 minutes, 73 seconds. Yes, it is 20 minutes and 13 seconds. I see that in the chat, but the poetry of it is 1973 for Roe v. Wade, and people can grasp that. But it's bringing society to a halt for 19 minutes and 73 seconds to stop everything to save Roe, and it's the specter of stopping everything. You're doing it for 19 minutes 73, but you're building up your muscles to do more. So we're going to have a breakout that goes into the walkouts on the campuses and green graduations, where this really is the symbol of a generation. What is our future? You're saying we just graduated, the future is ours. Well, what future do we have? What's it going to count for? We want these graduations green. So there'll be breakouts with the students and youth, and there'll be a breakout for everybody of every other age, professions, and others who want to grapple with how to do shutdowns for 19 minutes, 73 seconds with medical professionals, with hospital workers, with stagehands, with bus drivers, with other sections of people. Two, we want, and we had last weekend and some other places in New York and some other places, these really powerful young people who got together, like 30 of them, and just stormed all over New York City in bloody pants, green bandanas, and bullhorns, and they challenged everybody everywhere they went to join the shutdown. We want to scale that up and do a weekend of green out, or it's get out and green up, where you go out everywhere. Friday night at 5 o'clock, you gather and you do a green parade through the nightlife district, through the bars, the nightlife, the outdoor dining, and you're spreading the green. You're chanting, you're drawing people in, you're getting them to spread it on their social media. You're taking this into people's lives on Friday night, Saturday, to the museums, to public gatherings, to busy parks. There's going to be a workshop, a breakout that wrestles with this and makes plans for this. Really think big and wild and creative and infectious to spread the green, this symbol. And part of that workshop breakout is also going to include, if there are people who want to do actions at we want to invite the progressive churches, mosques, and synagogues to take up the green from the pulpit, but also outside to go to some of these theocratic Christian fascist churches that have been behind this assault and have protests in the green outside those churches. And in some places, they may be women in bloody pants with their bare chests painted green. and let the church deal with the female body with defiance. There's all kinds of ideas. So that's the second workshop, is the Green Out Weekend, just all kinds of wild ideas. Third, we want on Monday, and we've been getting requests for civil disobedience, nonviolent, and people saying, isn't it time to shut it down? Isn't it time to put it on the line? And absolutely. There's many forms that people need to take, but that is one of them. So we want a workshop, a breakout, to get into those plans, which include the theme we're proposing, but you guys will enrich it in the breakout, is overturn Roe over our dead bodies, die-ins, disruptive die-ins. And these could be, 5 youth, they could be 500 people. They could be in a shopping mall that gums up Macy's for 20 minutes or 10 minutes until you get kicked out, or they could be 1,000 people who go down to a major bridge or tunnel and lie down and say, overturn Roe over our dead bodies. Disruptive die-ins in creative ways all over society with different levels of risk that you want to take, but that's a way to gum up business as usual. So these are the three kind of broad workshops that we want to invite people into, to take the vision, the mission of stopping them from overturning Roe into society, into practice. The very last thing, or two last things I want to say, and this is laying out the whole, what we're going to work on. We are not going to do a breakout on this, but we are going to announce all over the country. And if you're in an area where there's not a chapter and you want to take responsibility for hosting this and anchoring this, you should write to us and let us know. We'll put it on the website. We are going to do day of decisions, day of the Supreme Court decision convergences, protests, walkouts, rally on the spot, leave wherever you are and go into the streets and raise hell, and day after. We're not going to take the time as a breakout. It's a fairly simple concept, but we want to announce that now. We're going to put that on the map. We'll have convergences in every city, because however this decision comes down, we have to mark it with defiance, and we have to prepare ourselves for the fight ahead. If we back them up, we're going to celebrate like crazy, and the fascists are going to be pissed off, and we'll have a fight still on our hands. If we get a defeat in this round, we're going to have a bigger fight on our hands. We have to be in the streets and galvanize. So we're going to do that. And the final point of orientation is that I was speaking to somebody, and I think this typifies a lot, so I want to share it here. I was speaking to somebody with a great deal of influence, and I said to them, you could be a game changer in this if you threw in more fully. And they said, well, how could I be a game changer? Why would the politicians listen to me any more than anybody else? And this to me concentrated that we have to stop thinking about looking up and hoping that we could get somebody to listen and help us. We are not looking up to those in power who have failed us. We are looking out at the millions and millions who don't want this to happen, and we are going to activate them. That's why we're doing Green Out. That's why we're spreading the green. That's why we're trying to deepen this into all the campuses and to the workplaces. And that's why we are envisioning things. Every action we take, every message we put is stop the Supreme Court from taking away abortion rights. Forced motherhood is female enslavement. Abortion on demand and without apology, and into the streets and rise up for abortion rights. All hands on deck. Everybody has a role to play. We're out there to recruit and to lead people to act. So that's where I want to end things. We have Sam Goldman, who is also one of our initiators and a leader in this movement. She also hosts the Refuse Fascism podcast. She's got a few words for you. And then we're going to hear from our workshop breakout leaders, and we'll get into our workshops.
Thank you, Sansara. So sorry for my boring background, y'all. I am on vacation, but you need to make sacrifices in this moment, including not having a nice background and doing it from a hotel room. I am so excited to be with y'all. I just want to shout you out for carving out the time to do this work together so that we can do exactly what Sansara talked about, to make the what seems impossible possible through our words and actions, to stop the Supreme Court from taking away abortion rights. And I want to call on all of you to think about what it meant to you when you first learned about this movement, when you first saw people not waiting and hoping for someone else to solve this, not putting their head in their sand and telling you to do the same and to go on with your life as normal. But when you first saw people saying, no, this cannot stand, this needs to be brought to a halt, and think about what that meant to you. We need to go and do that on a mass scale that we have not seen before in this country, because we have not seen a threat like this before. And so I am calling on you to think about how much heart it brought you to see all the students walking out of school in their thousands, decked in green. And, you know, a lot of these students were told, why you? Why you? Why do you need to do this? Why do you need to skip school? And I want us to all ask ourselves, why not us? Why not us? The students have put so much on the line, taking risks, taking it out there, taking this up for their generation, for future generations to come. And we need to all have their backs and to be with them. And one of the ways that we can do that, to bring all of the people that hate what this represents, who hate the horror that would come to pass if we do not stop this, if we do not stop Roe from being overturned. Everyone who's sick at heart from this, we need to give them a way to act. And one of the most important ways, I'm going to be honest, to act right now is to give generously. So this word can spread nationwide. If we want students to be doing all these walkouts, if we want the healthcare workers and the nail salon workers and the bus drivers and everybody to be part of this, they need to know. They need to know that it's possible, and they need to know what it looks like to stand up and fight. To fight for women, to fight for the future. And they cannot do that without your support. You know, everybody, I see so much green on the Zoom screen. If you want to see those bandanas out at the schools, and you want to see the town stickered, you want to see the statues of the fucking patriarchy draped in green with signs that say, you know, abortion on demand and without apology. If you want to see all the things that Sansara talked about what it would look like to really shut it down for the lives and future of women and girls and all who can become pregnant and all who care about a just future, then we need to step into this and step up. And already there's a link in the chat. I want to call on you today. We need to raise $5,000 so that we can flood the streets. We can flood the streets with the fury that's necessary, and we can flood the streets with green so that people know that there is a place, there is a role, and it's time to step up and fight. And so you can go to riseupforabortionrights.org to give generously. I want to shout out all those who have given already, especially those who are parents of children who've walked out, of young people who walked out, excuse me. You know, a dad who wrote, thanks to all the strong women in this group that are showing my daughter how to fight for strongly held and critical beliefs. Special shout out to my daughter and other strong student leaders in their area. I wanted to recognize Jody, who gave $10 and wrote, give them hell. You deserve the bodily autonomy those before you, like myself, enjoyed and utilized. I've had an abortion because I wanted to, and one to save my life, and one to end a lifetime of suffering for a future human. They were all equally necessary and equally needed. Why? Because I said so, and you all deserve the same respect. So I want you to put in the chat, if you are able to give right now $20, if we all who are on this chat stepped up, gave, if it's a reach for you to give 20, give 20. If it's a reach for you to give 50, give 50. If you can give 500 easily, you should. If you can give 5,000, you should. If you can give $5, it's still appreciated and makes a difference. I want to make sure that the chat's open so people can put their pledges in. Let us know what you can what you're able to do in this moment to step up to stop the Supreme Court from decimating abortion rights. The hour is late, but it's not too late to stop this atrocity. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Wendy, for stepping up. $15, $25, whatever you can give makes a difference. Thank you to John for stepping up with 100. Thank you, Kayuki. You can get, this is a great question. You can get bandanas online at riseupforabortionrights.org. There's a shop button, and that's a great thing to do. I'm gonna put the bit.ly in. So I'm gonna stop there. I appreciate everybody. People should keep putting their pledges in.
Yeah.
I wanna get to the really important work of planning to make this possible. So I'm gonna give it on back to Sansara. Keep the pledges coming though. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sam. And to everybody who's donating, thank you very much. Keep it happening. What I want to do now is, like I mentioned, there are these different breakouts that we're going to do. So we have 2 breakouts dealing with Thursdays. And the Thursdays, as I said, we're going to continue every Thursday. They're walkout, leave work, and it's stop everything to save Roe for 19 minutes, 73 seconds is the theme. And we're going to have a breakout on that deals with students and youth. And we're going to have a breakout that deals with professionals and every other section of society. Lapis, do you want to just tell for 60 seconds about the students and youth breakout? Are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I definitely can. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Lapis. I'll be leading the youth and student breakout with Devin. The purpose of this breakout will be to transform and expand the student walkouts and to plan and act on green graduation. This breakout is for students and youth to organize our thoughts and concretize the road moving forward. We know how powerful the youth voices have been thus far, and let's work to broaden and enlarge the impact of the youthful rage and determination for a just society. With that said, I want to give it to Devin if she has anything else to add.
I think you covered it, but just a encouragement to, this is the moment for students to take initiative and to start branching out and building your own movement, and really taking what we are inspiring you to do and rolling with it and making it your own.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We have dealing with every other section of society organized for the Thursday actions. We have Skylar. Do you want to speak briefly?
Yeah, so I will be leading this group along with Sam, and we will be discussing how do we get this information out into more hands? How do we activate the teachers union, nurses unions, different factions of society so that they can take this up, organize their offices, organize their workplaces, their organizations, and really get this word out there that we need to shut it down for 19 minutes and 73 seconds on Thursday. So we'll be putting our heads together, pooling our resources to find out, the different artist organizations and so on and so forth. There's immense ideas that we can tap into here for how to contact them, who to contact them, as well as creating some of a template that we can spread throughout social media and on our website to make this as easy as possible for people to take up and accessible for all. So if you're interested in that, come join Sam and I.
Thank you. And just so people know, I think probably a lot of people are familiar, but I forgot to mention this. If you're not, we're going to have in a moment, we'll put up on the screen, there'll be options for you to click, and basically you'll be taken into a room on Zoom that's dedicated to just people talking about the topic that, students and youth, led by Devin and Lapis. You'll be talking with Skylar and Sam. It'll be very simple. And we'll do that in a moment. But so there's 3 more little groups that we want to do. Chantel and Michelle, you're in one group, but you may subdivide. So why don't we get you guys together and you say what it is? Start with Chantel. You're muted.
Okay. So this is get out and green up. You know, we're going to be coming up with ideas for Friday night, spreading the green in busy, like going out areas. Also Saturday during the day, spreading it in farmers markets, parks, you know, other things, bringing creative ideas on how we can do that together as a group. And also on Saturday, you know, having like a convergence, people coming together to meet each other, maybe make banners and art for the Monday action or even the Sunday action. So we're going to be talking about these different ways to get out the green. And specifically too, if you are interested in this, either getting your religious institution to support the green wave and represent and do something at your church supporting that on Sunday, or if you want to be a part of the rebellious fighting against the patriarchal, like Christian fascist type churches, where we're calling for nonviolent actions at churches that are reactionary in this sense. So if you want to really zero in on help making those plans in your city, you'll be a part of this Get Out and Green Up weekend with me, as well as Michelle, who I'm adding up here too. So you can choose that breakout group. We're also going to be figuring out how to go. What are the creative ideas to involve? You know, how do we get this green everywhere? So including in doing ways together and doing things on your own on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. If Michelle, you wanted to add anything, you can. If not, we can introduce the next. Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Chantel and Michelle. And finally, we have the Monday actions, which are overturn Roe over our dead bodies, disruptive die-ins. And so, Coco, you want to talk about that? You're going to lead that breakout.
Hey, can everybody hear me? So the theme we're going to be discussing is the Monday actions with this title, Overturn Roe over our dead bodies. Now, die-ins are a very, common, well-known way of disrupting and protesting. It was used a lot during ACT UP. And it's been very powerful in bringing home the deadly stakes of a struggle, what we're fighting for. And it is true that people will die, women will die if Roe is overturned. And it's also true that their lives will be foreclosed on, but we're also bringing in a slightly different dimension here, which is not only to make people confront that women will die and their lives will be foreclosed on if Roe is overturned, but also that there is a force and movement of people who are willing to shut everything down and put their bodies on the line. So going back to the challenge that was issued before, there are two shifts that we have to make. A shift from how dare you, to this Supreme Court and this fascist movement, to we will dare to stop it. And the shift from I will fight this to I will call on others to fight this with me. So these die-ins have to not only be raising the stakes or having people confront the stakes, but actually inviting them into the struggle. So we're going to be discussing, all of that, what that could look like, what that would do to disrupt business as usual.
All right, well, thank you. So I see questions in the chat. The idea is at this point, we are inviting all of you and hope that all of you who are here to work on how we're going to go out and spread this message and mission to draw in others to act to stop the Supreme Court. If that's why you're here, we hope you will stay and join a breakout. We're going to get into breakouts right now, and they are going to pop up on the screen, and you're going to be able to hit a button and decide which one to go in. There is the student and youth breakout, talking about green, stop everything to save Roe Thursdays and the green graduations. There is the Stop Everything to Save Roe Thursday actions, spreading it among other sectors of society. There is the Green Up and Get Out Everywhere all weekend disruptive actions. And there is the Monday die-ins actions. So those are 4 breakout rooms.
They are now live, so you can choose your breakout room. And if you are having trouble choosing, I will help assign you to a breakout room. Leaders of these rooms, I added you automatically.
I just want to say one more thing,
Okay.
is that, thank you though, Chantel, is that if you can stick around, we're going to try to do these for about 45 minutes. It's a big challenge. So we're going to ask people to really do their best to respect the leadership of those leading the breakouts, because we're all here for a common mission, and we can't explore every topic that would be good to explore, or we'll get nothing done. So everybody work together. And if there's big ideas, big questions, other ideas, we want to invite all that, and we'll find other forums to plan more discussions, more events. So with that, at the very end, we're going to come back together and just have some closing words. So thank you, everybody. Get in a breakout, and let's really